Hello and welcome to IT Broken, where we share insight from our daily tech support calls. My name is Jorge, and today I'm going to show you how to remote into your work computers without the need to pay for remote control software. The remote control software pricing you see on the screen right now is real. They are actual costs. I just got it from their website as of the making of this video to be able to access 3 separate computers. Before we get started, one quick note. This is the first of my unscripted videos, unlike some of my other videos that are scripted and produced with a lot of supporting material. This is a direct video of me responding to an actual support call, which means a couple of things. First, there's a lot of blurred out parts in the video to protect my client and their confidential data. Second, there is no script. You're going to hear me and see me flow through the video as I do my support calls, which can be a little erratic. And last but not least, you're going to get the real me, self-talk and all. Comment below and let me know if you like this format. Okay, so today's unscripted video is all about being able to remote to your computer without having to pay for something like GoToMyPC, which, the price has been going up not only in GoToMyPC, but some of the other packages. So my client basically contacted me and said, I no longer want to pay. He said about 400. Let's see. He's probably referring to this one because I think they do have 2 computers. So we're talking close to $600. So basically, how can you save yourself $600? Well, that's what the video is about today. And the fact is, if you have an enterprise grade router that can do VPNs, then you can use a VPN to connect to your network, and then you basically use a remote desktop, which is built into Windows Pro computers. Now that Pro, I emphasize that because if you're on a home version of Windows, you won't be able to do this, but if you're on a Pro version, you will. And if you look at the price difference between home and Pro, you talk about a couple of dollars compared to, like in this case, $600 that you'd be saving. So maybe worthwhile checking getting Windows Pro if you want to have this capability. All right, so to get us started, I'm just going to do a quick diagram to represent what we're talking about. I'm not going to be following diagramming rules, if you will, but I just want to give you a visual of what we're talking about. I'm going to use this program called Whimsical. If you ever want to diagram anything, this is a great package to use. All right, so basically we're talking about a remote user. The first thing that we're going to need is to install a VPN client on that remote user. Whether it's one PC, multiple PCs, it will be the same client that you can install on all of them. That client is going to connect to a VPN host. In our case, we're using PfSense, which is the router operating system. We're using a Netgate router, just so you know. Then once you're connected to the VPN host, you're going to be using remote desktop over the network. They're going to access their own PC, or once you're on the network, you can access the router, you can access servers or other various printers and various other PCs. So it's quite practical once once you're connected to the network, the things that you can do. And this is right now we're just talking about remote desktop, but there's a variety of other things that you can do if you're connected to the network. So that's the idea. Now let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so here I am. I am on the network. I'm on a server on the network, and I'm going to be using PfSense, as I mentioned. That is the router firewall software that we're using. And just to give you an idea, if you Google PfSense, you'll find out that what it's all about. It's basically an open source software that's used for security and routing and so on. It's equivalent to Cisco. It will be the closest comparison I can make. So it has a lot of capabilities, but unlike Cisco, you don't have to pay for all kinds of licensing, especially for VPN. It can get quite costly when you start adding Cisco licenses. And they have a good product, and they have a huge support system, and hence their cost and so on. But PfSense is perfect for small businesses that want those kind of capabilities but don't want to pay all that money for it. We use it for all our not all our clients, but most of our clients. The typical client, many times they don't even have enterprise level software. They get Comcast or Frontier, and they'll use their own modem router. So this would be the next level up from that. to give you capabilities that you typically need for business. So something to think about. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and basically access my PfSense through the GUI, the browser basically. You can also use SSH, but that's more advanced. So here, I'm just going to show you, I'm actually going to go ahead and add the users that we need to access the VPN. Now, we already have the VPN server set up on this system. Maybe on a different video, I'll show you how to set it up, or you can call us if you need help with this. But the VPN is already set up here. We already have the certificate server. We have the certificate system set up, which is something that you will need. We have all the the rules set up, and we have the groups already. So all I'm doing at this stage is I'm just adding 2 additional users, and that's what the setup is all about. So to do that, I just go into manage users here on the PfSense, and that's the list that you're seeing right now. Then next I select add, and here I'm just going to add the username, password, confirm the password, put in the user's name. I can also put in an expiration date if I want for the VPN to stop working for a specific user. And then I put in, go ahead, the groups. Again, we already have a VPN user group, so that's a security group. And the important thing here is I'm going to go ahead and create a user certificate. This is a pretty neat feature for PfSense, that when you create the user, you can assign a certificate, which inherently is what you're going to need for the VPN. Then once you save, you can go ahead and add the second user, and it's that quick. Once you have it all set up, you can add users as needed. And then the next thing is we'll go into the actual VPN server. Now again, we already have it set up, so I can go ahead and just jump to client export, where I'm able to create the package that's going to install the VPN client on the user's computer. To do so, we already have some users here set up. You can see the list, but for each user, you got the option to download different installation clients or different installation programs. We go ahead and use, in our case, we're going to use the 64-bit Windows installer. And all I have to do is select the user that I need, in this case, the one I just added. Click on 64-bit, and it's going to go ahead and download the installation package. The one thing that we do add is we put in a certificate password. So even if somebody gets a hold of the package, if they don't know the password, they're not going to be able to install the certificate on their computer. So that's just an added protection there. So we do set up a different password for each of our packages, and that's just best practice. So we put in the password, and then we can go ahead and click on the installer and have that downloaded for us. If you click on the download you want, depending on the browser you have, it's either going to show up on the lower left, upper right. It all depends on what you have. Ultimately, it's going to go to your downloads directory if that's what the default that you have. Then you grab the file from there and go ahead and either email it, upload it somewhere where the user, or you put on a USB drive for the user to be able to take that to the remote computer they're going to be using, whether home computer, laptop, whatever it is that they're going to need to install it from. So that concludes the VPN setup portion of things. Now we want to go ahead and the next thing we want to do is actually set up some static IPs on those computers. That way, when they connect through the VPN, they can put in a IP address to connect to via remote desktop, and that IP address being unique to their computers. Now, typically we would do that within PfSense. In this case, however, our DHCP is controlled through one of our domain controllers, one of our Windows servers. So in there, I can go ahead and take a look at the scope, see what's available, and so on. But really, given that their computers they're going to be accessing are already on the network, I can just really look at the address leases. And if I don't want to change the IP, I just find the individuals that I want, and then I can just right-click on the corresponding user and select that to be a reserved IP. Now again, this applies for Windows DHCP. Other systems will use different methods, but you can see here I'm selecting the individuals for which I just added the VPN clients, and I'm just letting them basically whatever IP they have now, I'm telling the system to reserve that in the future, so they'll always basically get the same IP whenever their computer reboots. And that's it. That's all that we have to do. So, this concludes the setting the static IP. And now we go on to the next step. So the next step is to install the VPN client on the remote computer. So in my case, I'm making use of a VMware workstation here using a virtual machine. We use virtual machines a lot to test environments because basically we use spin a virtual machine up and throw it away once we're done. So that's what you're seeing here, booting up a Windows 11. Okay, so now once in Windows 11, I'm going to open File Explorer and just drag over the installation file. And then once I have it there, I'm going to go ahead and open that. And the installation is pretty straightforward. Basically, the installation file has everything. It has the certificate, it has the address for the VPN host and all that. So you click install now, and it will install the first portion, which is the software itself. And then you'll see it pause for a second, and it's going to install the actual configuration files that give you the rest of the information to connect to this specific client site. So I basically hit close, and it's telling us there's no profile, which is fine. We hit OK, and it goes ahead and continues on to the configuration file. Once that's done, that's it. Now we have the VPN client installed on the remote computer. All right, now to connect, you click the arrow on the bottom right of your computer, right click on the VPN monitor icon there, and then enter your username, enter your password. You can go ahead and save it, hit OK. And then the password for the certificate, the private key. That will go ahead and the VPN client will go ahead and connect. At the end, it's going to give you a confirmation on the lower right. All right, now that we're connected, we can go ahead and use remote desktop. We just put in the IP address of any computer on the network. I just picked this computer at random that we're connecting to. Now, it gives me an opportunity to show you something specific about remote desktop. If you change the listening port of the host computer, the computer on the network that would be, um, you can actually designate a port. In this case, we changed it on this specific computer, and the way you do it is you put a colon in there, and then you put in the port number. Typically, it's 3389, and if it's the default 3389, you don't have to put it in. But if you change it, you have to put in the specific port. Now it's going to ask you for your Windows credential to the PC you're connecting to. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Just go through the authentication. Once you do put in the password for the first time, it's going to come up with the certificate. You can go ahead and hit don't ask me again and yes, that way it'll save it and it won't ask you again. And here we go. We're actually connecting from outside the network into a Windows 7 computer on the network, which is kind of like a no-no. You need to get rid of that computer, but it's a test computer, so we're not too concerned about it. But you can see how you can basically move around, just like if you were in front of the computer itself. Now, interesting too, when you connect via remote desktop, you do have the option to either go ahead and log off, or you can disconnect on the upper right X. If you do disconnect on the upper right, it actually leaves your environment where you left it off, which is kind of practical because next time you reconnect to remote desktop on that computer, you're going to be right back where you left off. So let's go ahead and log back in. It remembers the last set of credentials. So we'll go ahead and hit connect. And we can actually do one more thing too. If we're going to be connecting to this computer a lot, we can go ahead and save the configuration as a shortcut on the desktop. So we just hit save as, and we'll click desktop. We'll put in this case is the Windows 7 computer, so we'll just name it that for the fun of it. And you can name it whatever you want. Put it on the desktop or put it at documents, whatever, anywhere you want that you're going to remember. The next time you want to connect, go ahead and double click on that icon. It should come up with the stored username. You can even store the password actually as well. We'll go ahead that on the credentials again. I shouldn't ask us after that. Here you can click remember me if you wanted to remember the password. But once it connects, it's going to go right back to that environment. Remember, we left this window open. And that's it. That is, an example of how we would connect to the computer. And now in this case, we're going to log off, which basically doesn't shut it down, but it logs the computer off. Now that you're on the network too, you can access other things such as the router we were working on before, the PfSense. So I can just, again, I'm on the external computer, the Windows 11. I'm putting in the IP address of the router, and you can see I can see the screens we were seeing before, just like that. And just to kind of prove the use case a little bit farther, I'm going to go ahead and connect to another computer on the network, and you can see how easy it is. I just changed the IP address, and there it is. We're on another computer. Again, another test computer. So this is Windows Server 2003. We keep that around for some old software that we test. But again, once you're on the network, you can access servers, you can access routers, you can access printers. So a lot of functionality in the same scenario. I'm going to go ahead and log off. And that's it. That gives you a pretty good idea of what you can do. Another thing you can do actually is access files directly. So here I'm putting the address of one of our file servers. Again, I'm on the computer outside the network, and I'm connected to the VPN. And then I can go ahead and navigate and see the folders. I can create new files, drag in between. I can edit them. Then I can also drag them between the remote computer and the local computer. And there you have it, remote access to your network computers without having to pay the $600 a year from GoToMyPC or some other system. Enjoy, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a message. As always, if you find this video of value, please like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified of new how-to videos coming your way. Also, if you know someone that could benefit from this video, you can also select the share button below and share it with them. Well, again, this is Jorge. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. Or if you need tech support, the link to hire us is in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great one.